Welcome back to my little channel. Today I'm going to make a video response to a video from the HUFFPOST. They are talking to one of the actors, I think it's one of the actors, of a new show on Netflix called Dear White People, which has been getting a lot of critique because of their blatant racism. Now, I haven't seen the show, so I don't know if that critique is justified. But I have seen this HUFFPOST thing, so now I'm not sure.
Logan, what's up?
You know, I'm really good. I'm hanging out with you.
Okay, cool.
A lot of people have a lot of questions, including me.
Okay, fair enough.
One of the questions I have, it kind of has to deal with double standards.
Okay.
I mean, the title of the show, Dear White People, is that not a double standard?
Well, the name Dear White People is not a double standard. I mean, dear neighbor, could you be nice to me, please, is not a double standard. It is, however, when I'm not nice to my neighbor, but I ask him to be nice to me. Then it becomes a double standard. So, is it a double standard?
Why is Dear White People acceptable and Dear Black People wouldn't be acceptable?
Right.
Again, I agree. If Dear White People is acceptable, Dear Black People should be acceptable too, vice versa. But the question does remain, am I going to say Dear White People and then be condescending? So if that's the case, then yes, Dear White People is a problem. Dear White People, get your dog off my lawn is not the same as Dear White People, how about having a nice barbecue with the neighborhood?
Yeah.
So first of all, I would say that it's an assumption that the show is finger wagging or blaming white people for something, and it's also an incorrect assumption.
Well, if it's not meant to be finger wagging at white people, then there's nothing wrong with that title, I would say.
It's actually a show about the experience of being a marginalized group amongst a bigger group that doesn't necessarily see you.
And then, after saying something sensible as, don't be finger wagging, you say something stupid as this. Black people are not a marginalized group in America. There are very rich, very, very rich and famous black people in America. Now, if you were to be marginalized, that would not be the case. Hell, your previous president was a black man. But that doesn't count, right? Because he wasn't black enough or something. And the thing is, there isn't a marginalization of black people within America by white people. If you would say there is a marginalization, then okay, fair enough. What's this based on? Well, look at the crime statistics. Fair enough. Most of the black people that are victims of crime are victims of a crime committed by another black person. How is this a white man's fault? How is this marginalization within a society if you're doing it to yourself, basically? And let us not talk or mention, affirmative action. That people that go to universities, well, if you're black, you don't have to score as high as if you're white, which is fucking unfair to a lot of black people who go to the universities because they're bloody brilliant. But you can't mention that because of the black people that aren't brilliant. But the thing is, there are also white people that are not brilliant and that do not go to university. But I'm not asking for affirmative action for white people or Asian people for that matter. But let's continue with your story. Let's do that.
All of American culture is kind of a Dear Black People. We are very aware of where we fit and don't fit in culture just by watching television. On the other side, unfortunately, because oppression is very real in this country, if a white person makes jokes about black people, that actually affects black people's lives. Yeah, that's not a double standard.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to name famous black actors or famous black sitcoms. Not going to happen. They exist quite a lot. I'm not going to do that. But you talk about marginalization, English, but at the same time you ignore reality. Because if we look at all these famous black people, okay, I'm going to name one, maybe two, Samuel L. Jackson or Oprah Winfrey. How are these people marginalized? Yeah, but they still face oppression. How? I mean, I don't want to be rude. I'm white. And if one of those two feels like, oh, you know what? Today I really feel like going to Venice. They can. If I feel like really going to Venice, that's okay. I can save up. It only takes about a year. maybe a bit longer. So how are they marginalized? Now, and I don't get me wrong, I understand there are poor black people that have the same problem that I do. If they want something, they have to save for it. Basically, what we're then saying is that, oh, you know what? In this situation, we're equal. But no, we're not equal, because if someone makes a joke about black people, all black people are harmed. I don't understand where that hive mind mentality comes from. But then again, it is something we see a lot in postmodernism and neoculturalism. Cultural Marxism as well. Sorry, my bad, not neoculturalism. The thing is, there is no hive mind, but you're trying to make it that way. And you want to blame every white person for whatever ails every black person. But there is no every white person, and there is no every black person.
Turn me up.
Okay.
Turn me up a little bit.
Bass on the phones, and there we go.
There we go.
Logan, I have a question to ask you.
Talk to me.
Because we've been talking about double standards.
Right.
Is it not a double standard that black folks can say the N-word and it's in like black music? I know, I don't want to answer the question myself, that's why I'm asking you. Tell me.
How many things do white people have?
Well, I know you're laughing, but I don't think even you realize how dumb that remark is. What do white people have in America that black people do not?
How many? All of the things. They have all of the things. There's this one thing. There's this one word
One thing. We
that
asked for one
black
thing.
people took and used as a form of endearment, and it's ours. Let us have this one word.
Just the one word.
Now, I understand that you took the word as a term of endearment. Hell, I'm Dutch. We have a term for that. It's called geuzennaam. I understand it. We have the same thing. That's where the word geuze comes from. The thing is, though, you did not just took the word for yourself. You demanded no one else is allowed to use it. Now, where do you have the right to tell what words I can and cannot use? Because once we start going into that, we're talking about oppression. And it's not me oppressing you. You're oppressing me because I'm not allowed to use certain words because you don't like me to. No matter where the word came from, you do not want me to say a certain word. You do not want me to speak certain things. Therefore, you are oppressing me. Minority or majority, my ass. This is oppression. You are advocating for oppression.
So much hatred behind it when it comes from the mouths of others, and this is something that we've turned into a very special, casual term, not to be used by everyone.
We made medicine out of our poison.
Once again, I have to admit, making a negative word a term of endearment is a sign of power. I can only applaud that. Again, geuzennaam. But here is my problem. You do not define who gets to use certain words. And not only are you trying to define who gets to use certain words, no, you go one step further and you're going to say, well, and if a white person uses this word, it must be a negative connotation to it because it's a white person saying it. There is a little bit of a double standard in there, because if you're going to accept it from some people but not other people, then again, you're talking about segregation, you're talking about oppression. I am to do what you're not allowed to do. That's a double standard.
Hey.
Yeah.
Is that so wrong?
No, I don't think so. And so what you're saying is, this is not a double standard.
It's not a double standard.
Not at all.
Yet it so blatantly is. Very clearly. But you don't want to see it, because it goes against your narrative.
I feel like I'm in a safe space. You want to know why? Because
Why?
we're at HuffPost Black Voices.
It feels safe for me too.
It's a thing. I think some people might wonder, why can't there be a HuffPost White Voices?
See, here's the thing, that's called HuffPost and the entirety of the internet.
Wow, so much bullshit in just a few seconds. To begin with, I don't care that there's a HuffPost for black people. I really don't care. They can have all they have to it. Don't try to pretend that normal HuffPost is for white people, though, because that's utter bullshit. Have you ever watched anything of them? Bloody hell, there's a bigger group of haters out there. And no, not the whole internet is for white people. Have you any idea how many non-whites are on the internet? Just a gamble. And non-whites, you know, people from Asia, Africa, the Middle East, Latin America, but then again, maybe Latin America are white people. I don't know. It changes every once and again. But yeah.
Black folks have
Bullshit.
to create our own channels so that we can have a voice and be a part of the mainstream culture, because otherwise we'd be silent.
We have to be able to honor each other too. We need a platform to be able to say congratulations for doing that great piece of work. How many Black actors and musicians and athletes have gone through history and haven't been recognized because there wasn't that platform?
The assumption is that if you're an American citizen, you know, you have the right to freedom and happiness and all these wonderful things, except if you're Black, or except if you're a part of a marginalized,
Exactly.
Yeah, I have to admit the double standard in this is pretty big. I mean, you complain about how there's not enough space for Black people to go to, and then you basically start talking about segregation. But then you ignore that we not so long ago had the Oscar so white bullshit going on, whilst at the same time we have the BAT awards. So there are places that are segregated and are just for Black people. And they are created by Black people because they don't feel that they are accepted amongst white people, even though amongst white people they are accepted. But no, they don't want to be equal. They want to be more than equal. They want to be showered in love. Well, fuck off. Seriously, you're talking about segregation and how white people have to stand down so you can stand up? What the fuck? I have to work hard to be able to stand up so you can work hard to be able to stand up. And if you do work hard to be able to stand up, you will have my support. But not by just saying, okay, it's time for me to stand up so you have to go. Well, fuck that. If you want to think like that, then you have to go. I'm sorry, you're not welcome here.
So basically what I think you're saying is this is not a double standard.
Yeah, you know, the thing is, I always thought that Opposite World was a game that little children played. I didn't know adults played it too. You're not that good at it, by the way, but yeah, you're playing it well enough.
Yeah, turn my mic up there. Now everyone can hear me.
Super real. Go ahead.
Great.
Reverse racism. When a white person gets their feelings hurt by a joke that a Black person might make about white people, okay, all right. You know, people got feelings, Logan. They have valid feelings.
I understand.
Well, if you understand, then why are you making those condescending noises?
Is this a double standard that Black people can be subjugated to racism and white people can't?
Right. Well, I mean, I think you have to start by understanding that Black people can't be racist. Black people can be prejudiced. They can be biased, but they can't be racist. And why is that?
Tell me.
Well, what is racism?
There are quite a few explanations of what racism is, but the definition of racism is this.
Racism is the oppression of a marginalized group in a society that's based on white supremacy.
So only white people can be racist? That's pretty much bullshit. Have you ever met a Hutu or a Tutsi? No? Well, know this much. They hate each other. They hate each other so much that they kill each other. And you know what? Neither of them is white, but they do so based on their race. And Chinese people, nice people, don't get me wrong, hate Japanese people, and vice versa. But neither of them are white. They're racist toward each other, but they're not white. Can you explain any of that? I could go on. Of course I could go on. But it's bullshit. Racism is not something white people do to other people. It's what people do to other people. And it's based on their race. Fucking hell, you're dense.
Well,
NBD.
I'm sorry.
Spoiler alert.
If you are a white person, then you naturally benefit from white privilege.
Anyone can hate somebody because of what race they are, and bigotry is really awful. But the thing is, racism, like you said, it's systemic. It's baked into our society.
And the worst thing is, there are actually idiots out there who believe this crap. They take it as if it's reality, as if it's the truth. But never mind the fact that there's affirmative action, which basically means that it's just racism in your favor or discrimination in your favor, which is, by the way, invented by white people to make the position of Black people better, which basically caused that a lot of Black people now go to university, which shouldn't really be going to university because they simply can't hack it. But yeah, all that sort of stuff. This is the discrimination and the bigotry of the low expectation. which is all come forth from positive or affirmative action, which is racism against white people. Because in all fairness, every black person that gets a spot on a university, even though they really shouldn't be going to university, takes away the spot of someone else. And that someone else could be a white person, could also be an Asian person or a Latin American person, or even another black person that would have had those achievements made. But no, it's no double standard according to you. I'm pretty sure that I know where your standards are. And, well, fuck it. I seriously don't understand. Why are you still in America if America is so bad to you? I mean, you should talk to people like Oprah Winfrey, Samuel L. Jackson. I would have said Michael Jackson, but he's dead, unfortunately. Prince, same thing. Great artists, but no more. All these people achieved, even though their skin color. But you can't because of your skin color? What the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Y'all ain't oppressed, I'm sorry. By the way, it's not as good as it sounds. You don't want to be oppressed.
Yeah, why? Why do you want this thing? This thing that's caused us to be murdered. And why do you want this so badly?
So, you know, what I guess you're saying, and what I think I'm saying too, is when it comes to racism, there really is no double standard.
There is no double standard.
And here ends this talk about double standards, and they're so incredibly full of double standards. Because in all fairness, in our current society, especially in America, there is an oppression going on, and white people are being oppressed. I mean, yes, I know people seem to think that white people have all the power, which isn't really true because the average person doesn't hold any power at all. But there is an oppression going on where certain things are not allowed to be spoken of. And if you want to know who's in power, find out who you are not to criticize. The thing is, if we look at crimes, black crime on white people, it's hardly ever mentioned. It happens too much. I'm not going to say white people don't hit black people or don't kill black people. I'm not going to say that. But the reverse is way more true. And it happens way more. But the thing is, as soon as a white person kills a black person, it's all over the news. Hell, if a police officer, even if the police officer is black, shoots a black guy, we have riots. But if a group of teenagers kidnap a boy and torture him for several days, then, well, yeah, it happens, but come on. If black kids in the ghettos and whatever play a game called the knockout game and start attacking random people, and some of them actually died, but yeah, they're just youth. If black people kill white people because they're white, it's a racial-driven hate crime. But it's only a hate crime if a white person does it to a black person. Now, in South Park, they once said, well, if you kill someone, isn't that automatically a hate crime because you hate that person, otherwise you wouldn't kill him. And I agree with that. And don't get me wrong, I'm not in favor of white people killing black people, or black people killing white people, or anyone killing anyone. But how come we're not to mention it when black people do it to white people, but we never hear the end of it when a white person does something negative to a black person? The double standard is palpable. It's really, well, it's annoying to me, I won't lie. And I'm rambling once again, so this is where I'm going to wrap it all up. I hope you enjoyed this little video. Please like, share, subscribe, and feel free to give me any criticism. And I hope to see you all next time.